The galaxy hears the rumor. The galaxy felt normal until the message arrived. A single signal. A simple report. Just one sentence. 900,000 human warships have launched. When the message spread, planets froze. Armies paused. Leaders stood speechless. Because no species, absolutely none, had ever deployed even 1/10 of that number. And humans. Humans were known for being unpredictable, dangerous, and strangely quiet. The first one to receive the report was a small alien trader ship drifting near the edge of human territory. The crew gathered around the hologram glowing in their dark cabin. "It cannot be true," Captain Relis whispered. His 4 eyes widened in fear. "No species launches 900,000 warships. No species can." But the message came with perfect data, perfect time signatures, perfect tracking. Something was happening in the Sol system. Something impossible. Something terrifying. The trader ship quickly forwarded the report. Within minutes, the entire galaxy was awake. On the council world of Varian, alarms rang across the sky. Crimson lights flashed through the grand chamber where leaders of 50 species gathered. Some trembled. Some hid behind their guards. Some simply stared at the huge screen showing human ships. Rows and rows, an endless wall of steel. Council leader Doran stood up slowly. "Has Earth responded to our call?" he asked. "No," the communication officer said softly. "Humans are silent." Silence was never good. Not from humans. Whenever Earth went silent, something dangerous followed. Across space, thousands of alien scouts rushed toward human borders to confirm the rumor. Most kept a safe distance. Nobody wanted to get close to human warships. One brave scout ship, a tiny vessel belonging to the insectoid Xellan Empire, moved closer than anyone else dared. Their captain whispered, "Record everything, and stay ready to escape." They activated the deep-range scanners. A long wave of energy swept across space. At first, nothing appeared on the screen. Then, slowly, blips appeared. 1, 10, 100. Then the entire scanner turned white with density. The Xellan crew gasped. There are too many ships. Rows of destroyers. Massive dreadnoughts. Colossal carrier platforms. The numbers kept rising. Hundreds, thousands, tens of thousands. Then the counter passed 900,000. The scout ship trembled. Captain Selly whispered, "Why? Why would humans launch such a fleet?" Nobody answered. Nobody could. The first sign of trouble came only minutes later. A huge shockwave of energy suddenly rippled through the region. The scout ship barely survived as a wave struck its hull. The lights flickered. Screams filled the bridge. "What was that?" the navigator cried. Behind the human fleet, something was opening. Not a wormhole. Not a star. Not a weapon. Something else. Something unknown. The Xellan crew increased zoom power. The image on their screen sharpened, and their hearts froze. A black shape hung behind the human armada. A shape with no light. No heat. No radiation. Just darkness. A perfect hole in reality. The captain's voice shook. "Is that a ship?" But no one could call that thing a ship. It was too big. Too unnatural. Too silent. Then a whisper-like signal began leaking from the structure. A signal not in any known language. But the worst part, sometimes, in the distortion, it sounded like a human voice. Back on the council world, fear spread like wildfire. Hundreds of alien races tuned into the emergency broadcast. Everyone wanted to know the same thing. What are humans preparing for? Some believed Earth was preparing to conquer the galaxy. Others believed humans were about to destroy something only they knew about. But one species, the ancient, cold-blooded Vather, said something that chilled every soul. What if humans are running? Running? The galaxy had never seen humans run from anything. They fought. They evolved. They survived. They scared predators away. If humans were running, then whatever they were running from must be powerful enough to erase galaxies. Meanwhile, near Earth, something strange happened. A small alien monitoring probe, always watching human space, detected a sudden change. The 900,000 ships were moving. Not toward alien borders. Not toward any known enemy. They were marching in a single direction. Straight toward the galactic core, the darkest part of the Milky Way. A place filled with dead civilizations, ruined planets, ancient warnings no one understood. The probe tried to transmit one last report. But before it could finish, the transmission cut off. Something had destroyed it. Instantly. Silently. Without leaving a trace. The galaxy received only half a message. The human fleet is heading toward. Then, nothing. For the first time in 1,000 years, the galaxy went silent. Species stopped moving. Armies froze. Leaders could only stare at the last image of the human armada vanishing into darkness. No one knew what humans were doing. No one knew what was waiting in the galactic core. But everyone felt the same cold fear. If 900,000 human warships were not enough, then the galaxy was already doomed. And the humans, they weren't explaining anything. They weren't sending warnings. They weren't asking for help. They weren't threatening war. They were just quiet. Too quiet. And silence from humans was always the beginning of horror. The Galactic Council chamber was never silent. Not in 10,000 years. But today, there was no sound. 50 alien leaders sat frozen around the massive circular hall. The hologram of the human fleet hovered above them like a mountain of steel. Row after row of warships glowed in the projection, each ship marked with coordinates and power readings. 900,000 warships. The number felt impossible. Unreal. Like a nightmare someone had spoken into reality. Council leader Doran stood at the center table. His scaled hands trembled as he held the latest report. Humans are still not responding, he said quietly. A cold shiver passed through the hall. The insectoid ambassador from the Xelin hive clicked her mandibles nervously. They always answer. Always. Humans may fight, but they do not ignore the galaxy. The lizard-like envoy from the Dravok Empire hissed slowly. If they are silent, it is because they are hiding something. That is what we fear, another whispered. A giant screen lit up. An analyst AI voice began speaking. 3 scout teams missing. 5 communication beacons destroyed. Energy waves detected behind the human fleet. The energy wave appeared again. The dark anomaly. The hole in reality. The display showed it. A black shape swallowing all light. Every alien stared at the screen with dread. Council leader Doran cleared his throat. Is it a weapon? No, the AI answered. It emits no heat, no radiation, no signatures. It is unnatural. The room felt colder. Then, the Vather representative, a tall creature with silver skin, slowly stood. His species rarely spoke, but when they did, people listened. He lifted his glowing staff. We know that shape. Everyone turned. The Vather had ancient records older than most empires. Their archives went back millions of years. Doran asked softly, "What is it?" The Vather delegate pointed to the screen. That, he whispered, is not human technology. It is older. How old? Someone asked. The Vather's eyes dimmed. Older than stars. A wave of fear swept through the chamber. Back in space, more reports arrived. A mining station near the border had detected shock waves of gravity. A research ship had picked up whispers in their comms, whispers speaking in static and broken tones. And one outpost claimed they saw something following the human fleet. A shadow behind the ships. Huge. moving slowly, as if waking up. The Council officers tried sending more signals to Earth. Human Fleet Command, this is Galactic Council. Do you copy? We request immediate explanation. Silence. They tried again. Earth, please respond. Silence. Again and again. Silence. Council Leader Doran pressed both hands on the table. This is not normal. Humans never ignore a call from the Council. The Xelin ambassador trembled violently. My people believe humans are preparing for war. The Dravok envoy slammed his fist against the table. War? With 900,000 ships. That is not war. That is extinction. The room erupted with shouting. Are they coming for us? Are we targets? What if they want the galaxy to kneel? What if they are fleeing something? No, they are preparing to attack. No, they are preparing to defend. Arguing, screaming, panic. The chamber had never been so loud. Then the Vather delegate struck his staff against the floor. Boom! The echo silenced everyone. In the old records, he said slowly, there is a warning. Everyone leaned in. The Vather speaker closed his eyes as if repeating ancient words. There is a darkness in the core of the galaxy. A hunger. A nightmare. It wakes when too many voices echo in the stars. He pointed toward the hologram of the human fleet. Humans are not marching to conquer. They are marching to stop something. The room froze. Council Leader Doran swallowed. Stop. What? The Vather said only one word. Them. At that moment, a new emergency signal appeared on the Council screen. The room lights flickered. The hologram shifted. A terrified alien commander appeared in the projection. His ship shook violently behind him. This is Patrol Ship Vornax. We are near the human fleet. Something is. Static. Then a scream. Then the screen went black. Everyone gasped. The signal tried to reconnect. For 2 seconds, the image stabilized. Behind the commander, through the window of his ship, something moved. Something large. Something dark. Something with dozens of bright, glowing eyes. The commander shouted. It's not human. It's behind them. IT. The signal cut abruptly. Total silence filled the chamber. Council Leader Doran spoke softly, almost whispering. That was no human ship. The Dravok envoy hissed fearfully. It was following the human armada. The Xelin ambassador shook. Why is it following humans? Why not us? The Vather delegate answered. Because humans woke it up. Or, he paused. Or humans went to stop it, before it fully woke. The Council finally made a decision. Prepare every fleet, Leader Doran ordered. Not to attack humans, but to follow them. Gasps echoed. Some leaders protested. Follow them? They will destroy us. No, they will think we are spies. Humans do not like being watched. Doran raised his hand. We have no choice. If humans are going into darkness, then we must know what waits there. The Vather delegate nodded. If humans lose, the galaxy will fall. A deadly silence spread through the room. The Council passed the order. Every empire was told. Send ships. Stay hidden. Follow the human fleet. Do not engage. Do not attack. Observe only. Then a final warning was sent to all worlds. Avoid the galactic core. A threat is rising. On a silent moon near the galactic edge, a hidden listening post captured something strange. A human dreadnought, one of the massive ships, transmitted a short message. Only 3 words. Hold your ground. Then the transmission stopped. The technicians froze. It was not a warning to aliens. It was a message to the human fleet. Something was coming. Something big. Something horrifying. And all 900,000 human warships were preparing for it. When the Council saw the message, every leader felt the same cold realization. Humans were not attacking the galaxy. Humans were protecting it. And whatever they were preparing to fight was strong enough to require nearly 1,000,000 human warships. The final scene of Part 2. Far away in the darkness, behind the human armada, the black anomaly finally opened wider. A deep, ancient voice echoed through space. A voice no one had heard in millions of years. We are awake. Space stretched like an endless black ocean, and the human fleet moved through it like a burning storm. 900,000 warships, each one bright with engines, each one silent, each one heading into the darkest region of the galaxy. But now something strange happened. The fleet turned. Not slowly, not gently. All at once, as if someone gave a single command, the massive armada shifted direction and aimed straight toward the galactic core. An area every species feared. An area filled with dead stars, collapsed worlds, and ancient warnings. For thousands of years, civilizations avoided this place. It was a void where signals vanished and ships were never found again. But humans were heading straight into it. In the shadows far behind, dozens of alien spy ships followed as silently as possible. Their engines were low. Their lights were off. They wanted to observe, not interfere. On one spy ship, the Kelran observer vessel, Captain Jorah watched the giant fleet with terrified fascination. "I have never seen humans so focused," she whispered. Her second-in-command nodded. "Why are they going deeper? No one goes there. Nothing comes out alive." Captain Jorah zoomed in on the lead dreadnought, an enormous Earth vessel named Titan's Wake. The ship's hull carried ancient scars, old battles, markings that told a long story of war and survival. But today there was no communication, no signals, no lights from the windows. It felt like a graveyard flying through space. "Are they preparing for something?" the navigator whispered. "Yes," Captain Jorah answered. "But what?" Far ahead, in the human command ship, Admiral Reeve Hayes stood silently at the bridge window, staring into the growing darkness. He did not look afraid, but he did look tired. "Distance to the core?" he asked calmly. 2 days, replied the officer. "Enemy activity?" Hayes asked. "Unknown," the officer said. "But, sir, the anomaly is expanding again." Hayes nodded slowly. "So it begins." Meanwhile, the Galactic Council received a new report. A small alien archaeological ship had explored a forgotten world near the galactic core. The crew found ancient ruins, carvings, warnings. One symbol appeared everywhere, a circle with a black center, the same shape as the anomaly behind the human fleet. The ship's archaeologists spoke in fear. "We have decoded part of the writing. It says, 'They sleep in the dark. Do not wake them. If the stars go silent, run.'" Those words shook the council. The silence mentioned in the writing was happening now. The galaxy had gone silent the moment Earth launched its fleet. Back with the human armada, something changed. The ships slowed down. Not because they wanted to, but because the space around them was changing. A strange fog-like energy floated through the region. It wasn't a gas. It wasn't dust. It was memory. Frozen memory. Echoes of something old. The human ships activated shields automatically. Glowing blue barriers spread across the vessels as they pushed through the energy field. On the alien spy ships behind, alarms erupted. "What is this?" shouted a pilot. "No readings. No data. Our scanners cannot identify it," yelled the engineer. Their captain stared ahead. The human fleet moved through the strange fog without hesitation, as if they already knew it was there. Then the fog thickened. Within it, shapes appeared. Ruins of cities. Structures of impossible design. Ships broken in half. Worlds that looked sliced open. The aliens observing gasped. "What happened here?" one whispered. But humans kept moving deeper, ignoring the ruins like they had seen them before. And maybe they had. Suddenly, Captain Jorah's spy ship detected something. Reading, "Something ahead," her officer said. "What is it?" Jorah asked. The sensor operator stared at the screen. A pale look formed on his face. "There are symbols carved into broken asteroids," he said. "The same symbols from the ancient ruins." He zoomed in. 4 huge stone slabs floated in space, glowing with old energy. Words were carved in a language older than stars. The translator tried reading it. The message appeared on the screen. "They are watchers. They hunger for minds. Do not enter the core. If you enter, they will wake." The entire crew froze, because the human fleet was heading straight into the core. Inside Titan's wake, Admiral Hayes closed his eyes for a long moment. He whispered to himself, "How many civilizations did you destroy before we were born?" He looked at his officers. "All ships, prepare tactical formation. Activate silence protocols. No broadcasts. No data leaks." They are listening. The entire fleet shifted. Walls of dreadnoughts moved outward. Carrier ships fell behind. Destroyers formed sharp lines. They created a massive metal shield surrounding the front of the fleet. Every human ship turned dark. Lights off. Weapons charged quietly. Engines humming softly. The human fleet became a silent predator. Waiting. Hunting. Preparing. The alien spy ships watching from far behind were stunned. "They are forming a war wall," Captain Jorah whispered. But against what? No species had ever seen humans so organized. So silent. So coordinated. What are they expecting to meet? Suddenly, space itself cracked. A massive shockwave rolled through the region, shaking ships violently. Panels broke. Lights flickered. Engines stuttered. Screams echoed across the alien spy fleets. Then everyone saw it. In front of the human armada, something was waking. A colossal dark structure emerged from the fog. Round, hollow, ancient, as large as a small star. Its entire surface was covered in eyes. Not lights, not sensors. Eyes. Hundreds, thousands, millions. Every eye opened, one by one, all staring at the human fleet. The aliens trembled in terror. What is that? What kind of monster? What are humans doing? Then something even worse happened. The massive dark structure began to speak. Not with words, not with signals, but with a deep vibration that traveled through hulls, bones, minds, a sound no living creature was meant to hear. The crew of the alien spy ships covered their ears. Some screamed. Some fainted. The dark structure spoke again. Its voice echoed across space. "We smell you, children of Earth. You dare enter our sleep. Silence. Then we will feed." The human fleet remained still. Lights off. Weapons charged. Engines ready. Admiral Hayes opened his eyes. "Enemy identified," he said coldly. "All ships, prepare to engage." Far behind, in the alien spy ships, Captain Jorah whispered, "They are not going to survive." Her navigator replied, "No, they are not trying to survive." "What do you mean?" "They are trying to stop it." The captain felt her heart freeze. Because in front of 900,000 human warships, the giant ancient creature opened all its eyes. And the galaxy felt something it had not felt in millions of years. Pure, absolute fear. The moment the ancient creature opened its countless eyes, the galaxy changed. Space did not feel empty anymore. It felt alive. Breathing. Watching. The alien spy ships behind the humans felt the pressure first. Their hulls groaned. Their lights flickered. Their crews clutched their heads as a strange whisper crawled inside their minds. "We are hungry." Captain Jorah's vision blurred. She grabbed the rail near her command seat. "What is it doing to us?" Her engineer answered with a shaking voice. "It's not using weapons. It's using thought. It's invading our minds." The entire crew tried to resist the invisible force, but the pressure grew stronger. Then a horrible realization hit them. Humans were not affected. Inside the Titan's wake, Admiral Hayes watched the creature with sharp, steady eyes. A low vibration passed through his ship, the creature speaking. Officers at their consoles shivered, but they did not collapse. No one screamed. No one fainted. Humans felt the presence, but they were fighting it. Hayes whispered to himself, "So it's true. It feeds on consciousness." This was why the ancient warning said, "Do not wake them. Do not think near them. Do not approach." But Earth had found them anyway. And now Earth had come to destroy them. The creature shifted. Its dark surface rippled like liquid shadow. Some of its eyes closed. Others opened wider. Each eye reflected stars, planets, memories, dying worlds. The anomaly, the ancient being, began speaking again, this time louder. "Children of flesh, children of new suns, you dare bring your tiny fire here." Its voice shook hulls for millions of kilometers. Then it added, "We will bury your minds inside our darkness, like the others before you. Others, other civilizations, the ones whose ruins the humans had passed. All of them had been consumed by these things. Humanity was here to stop the cycle." The human fleet finally moved, but not forward. The dreadnoughts formed a shield line. Carriers activated silent energy barriers. Destroyers took their positions like a wall of blades. Everything was quiet. Admiral Hayes lifted his hand. "On my mark, deploy signal dampeners." "Ready," the officer replied. 3, 2, 1. Deploy. A wave of blue light pulsed from the human ships, silent but powerful. Alien spy crews gasped as the pressure inside their minds suddenly weakened. What was that? "They protected us," someone shouted. Indeed, humanity had activated massive neural dampeners, technology meant to block psychic or mental invasions. They weren't just protecting themselves. They were protecting every species watching. Captain Jorah stared at her screen, stunned. They knew this creature feeds on thought, long before we did. But the creature noticed the dampening field. Its eyes narrowed. "You resist? Interesting. Your kind is new. You are loud. You burn so brightly. We smell your fire." Dozens of long, shadowy tendrils began forming around the creature's surface, like arms, like blades, like the claws of a nightmare. Hayes watched them emerge. The first officer whispered, "Sir, it's preparing to attack." "I know," Hayes said quietly. "Prepare the rail cannons." The officer hesitated. "Sir, those weapons won't hurt something that big." Hayes didn't blink. "We're not trying to hurt it. We're trying to wake it fully." The officer's face went pale. "Sir, why?" Admiral Hayes answered in a single cold sentence, "Because this isn't the only one." As the creature grew more active, the fog around the region began to swirl violently. The alien spy ships felt gravity spikes hit their hulls. "Pull us back," Captain Jorah shouted. "We can't. The gravity is too strong." Her ship shook so hard that panels fell from the ceiling. One crew member screamed, "We're going to die." Jorah yelled over the alarms, "Hold the ship. Humans are preparing for something." Hayes' voice echoed through Titan's wake. "All ships, open fire." A moment later, the darkness lit up. Thousands of human warships fired rail cannons, plasma beams, fusion missiles, and kinetic bursts. The space around the creature was filled with streaks of light, like a storm of metal and fire. The shots hit the creature's surface, but nothing happened. The creature did not flinch. It did not move. It did not bleed. It only laughed. A low, deep sound that made space itself vibrate. Little sparks. You think your toys can break us. The creature opened a massive central eye, larger than a planet. Inside that eye, galaxies twisted. Stars died. It was a window into a place older than time. And then, the creature spoke in a different tone. We remember your kind now. The small blue world. The ones who escaped our hunger long ago. Hayes froze. It remembered humanity. Not recently. Not in the last thousands of years. Millions. Humanity had run from these things once. In another age. Before Earth even knew what it was. You survived before. Let us fix that mistake. The creature unleashed its first attack. A psychic scream ripped across space. Alien spy crews collapsed instantly. Some fainted. Some vomited. Some cried uncontrollably. The human fleet absorbed the blast. Barely. Shields glowed white-hot. Engines shook. Systems overloaded. But humans stayed standing. Barely. And then, something new happened. Deep behind the human fleet. The fog rippled. The space around them bent. Something else was waking up. More shapes. More dark forms. More creatures. Captain Jorah watched the fog twist open. No, she whispered in terror. There's more than one. Admiral Hayes gripped the command rail tightly. His voice was low, steady, and full of grim acceptance. Enemy reinforcements emerging, he said. Just as expected. Sir, the officer whispered. No fleet can survive this. Hayes nodded. Yes, but we're going to try anyway. He turned to his crew. It's time. Activate the core protocol. Every officer on the bridge froze. Sir, that will tear the region apart. Hayes stared at the awakening monsters. That's the idea. The ancient creature's eyes widened, not in fear, but in hunger. It whispered, Burn, little humans. Burn bright for us. Admiral Hayes lifted his hand. Core protocol. BGN the galaxy was silent. But inside that silence, something began to move. A single sound. A single code. A single message. It appeared on every human ship at the same time. A thin, cold whisper of data. A signal that was not human. A signal that should not exist. Captain Rhea stood on the bridge of the Solar Wrath when the alert flashed. Incoming transmission. Unknown so or si. Lang UAG. Unrecognized. ORIGIN. Outside known space. Rhea felt the temperature drop around her. The crew stopped talking. Every officer suddenly felt like someone unseen was watching them. Put it on the main screen, Rhea said. For 5 long seconds, nothing happened. Then the audio began. It was not a voice. Not a machine. Not music. Not static. It was breathing. Deep, slow, wrong. Everyone froze. The breathing continued, then changed, then shaped itself into a rhythm. That rhythm slowly formed a pattern. A message. The AI of the dreadnought translated it in a shaky voice. You arrived too soon. Silence crushed the bridge. The words echoed like a warning from something ancient. Commander Vale whispered, too soon for what? But then the second message arrived. Short. Sharp. We were not ready to wake. Rhea felt her heart thump painfully. The galaxy had been quiet because someone, something, had been sleeping. Something old. Something powerful enough to hear 900,000 warships ignite at the same moment. Trace the origin, Rhea ordered. The crew worked fast. Seconds later, the result appeared. Location, deep void, Siktitor, unknown, DSTNC, far beyond galactic edge. CLASI impossible, because the coordinates pointed to a place where nothing should exist. No stars, no planets, no matter. Just darkness, a darkness that was suddenly moving. Sensors across the fleet detected it at the same time. Mass HFY DT steadied. Energy signature. Growing. Object size. Unknown. Object number. Unknown. Voarning. Multiple contestes. Rhea felt her throat go dry. Are we under attack? She asked. No, the sensor officer whispered. Then what are they doing? They are waking up. The screen trembled. Shapes appeared in the void. Huge shapes, old shapes. Ships, but not built by any known species. Not mechanical. Not biological. Something in between. Something alive. For millions of years, they had been sleeping in the empty dark. Humanity's light had woken them. The breathing on the transmission returned, louder now. Then a final message came through. This Galactic is not yours. And the darkness moved toward them. Slow, heavy, awake. The fleet prepared for war. But every captain felt the same fear. Because whatever these ancient beings were, they did not wake happy. They woke hungry. The ancient shapes continued to rise from the deep void, moving with slow, heavy force. Thousands of human captains watched their screens in fear and confusion as the unknown fleet awakened fully for the first time in millions of years. No one spoke. No one breathed. It felt like the darkness itself had grown eyes and was looking back at them. Captain Rhea stood frozen on the bridge of the Solar Wrath. Her crew waited for her command, but Rhea felt something new, something she had never felt in her entire military life. A presence. It crawled across her mind like cold fingers. She wasn't imagining it. Every human in the fleet felt it at the same time. Millions of soldiers gasped as a silent pressure pushed against their thoughts. It wasn't a message. It wasn't communication. It was a scan. The ancient beings were reading them. Shut down psychic sensors, Commander Vale shouted. It's not psychic, the science officer answered, voice shaking. It's something else. Something deeper. Rhea gripped the railing hard. Can they see inside us? The answer came from the AI. Affirmative. They are mapping human thoughts, emotions, and memories. A chill ran across the bridge. Then something unexpected happened. The scanning stopped, and the void beings reacted. They changed direction. All of them. Every single ancient ship, thousands of them, turned away from humanity's fleet and began moving in a slow, terrifying curve, not toward Earth, not toward human space, but toward a different star system. A system no one had entered for over 800,000 years. The system once ruled by the oldest extinct species in the galaxy. The Voruan. Rhea's eyes widened. Why are they going there? The AI broke the silence. Because they sensed something familiar in us. Commander Vale swallowed. Familiar. How? The AI hesitated. Human neural patterns contain an echo of the Voruan genetic signal. Nobody understood. Nobody could understand. Humans were similar to the oldest species ever recorded. How was that possible? The bridge lights flickered as another message arrived from the void beings, but this time, it wasn't a threat. It was a question. Why do you carry their marquee? Rhea felt the crew freeze again. It sounded like the ancient beings believed humanity was connected to the Voruan, the species that once ruled the galaxy and suddenly vanished without explanation. Before Rhea could respond, the screen shook violently. A massive energy flare erupted from the dead Voruan star system. Light brighter than a sun exploded across the void. The ancient beings halted. Human ships halted. Everyone watched the light unfold like a giant burning eye opening after a billion-year sleep. Deep inside the light, Something was waking. Something bigger than the void beings. Something older. Humanity had woken one ancient species. The Voruan light had just woken something worse. Something the ancient void beings themselves feared. Every human officer felt the same realization. The galaxy wasn't silent because it was empty. It was silent because humanity had stepped into a graveyard. And every corpse was starting to wake up. Captain Ria whispered the only words she could think of. What did we just unleash? The light from the dead Voruan system expanded like a silent storm, swallowing stars, swallowing darkness, swallowing even the massive ancient beings that had awakened earlier. Every sensor across the 900,000 human warships went blind for a moment. Every display turned white. Every crew member felt something heavy and enormous pressing against their minds, like an ocean trying to crush a single drop of water. Captain Ria grabbed the edge of her command chair as the shockwave passed through the fleet. No sound, no heat, no radiation, but something far worse rode inside it. A mind. A mind so old it made the void beings seem young. A mind so vast it didn't feel alive. It felt like a planet had learned how to think. The bridge lights flickered. The screens steadied. And then, the voice arrived. It wasn't heard through speakers. It wasn't translated by the AI. It didn't travel through radio waves. It entered directly into every human mind at the same time. You wake us. You call us back. You break the long silence. Millions of human soldiers gasped. Some dropped to their knees. Others covered their ears, even though there was no sound to block. Ria forced herself to stand. Identify yourself, she whispered. Her voice was small inside a universe-sized presence. The answer came slowly, like mountains grinding against each other. We are the first memory. We are the last breath of the Voruan. Ria froze. Her crew froze. Across the entire human fleet, no one moved. The Voruan, the oldest known species, had disappeared millions of years ago. Their ruins were dead. Their technology was dust. Their worlds were silent. But they had not vanished. They had waited. The first memory continued. You carry our mark, our echo, our forgotten seed. A deep shiver ran through Ria's spine. Humans, connected to the Voruan. It made no sense. It changed everything. The ancient void beings, the ones that woke first, now began to retreat. They moved away from the Voruan light, like prey backing away from a predator. Ria finally understood. The void beings weren't gods. They weren't the strongest things in the galaxy. They were guards, prison guards, sleeping around the Voruan system to make sure nothing woke up again. And humanity had just broken the lock. The first memory spoke again, its presence growing heavier. Our time ended. The galaxy fell silent by our choice. But you bring noise. You bring light. You bring war. A pause. And now, we rise to finish what was left undone. Ria took a sharp breath. Are you going to attack us? The mind answered without emotion. We do not attack. We reclaim. The 900,000 human warships shook as energy from the Voruan light wrapped around them. Not a weapon, but a binding, a pulling force. Humanity wasn't being destroyed. It was being taken, absorbed, integrated, merged. Like children being forced back into a family they never knew they belonged to. Stop, Ria shouted. We are not yours. The first memory paused. Its next words were softer, almost curious. You refuse. A new species refuses the call of the first ones. Ria lifted her head. Her voice was steady now. Humans choose their own path. Across the entire fleet, millions of humans felt something shift, a spark of defiance that lit up like a star. The first memory observed them quietly. Then, for the first time, its voice changed. It sounded impressed. Very well. Then your path begins with fire. The light around the fleet shattered like broken glass. The binding force collapsed. Every warship regained control. The first memory was no longer pulling them. It was challenging them. The void beings, now fully awake, turned toward the humans, not as enemies, but as witnesses. The galaxy was no longer silent. The ancient races had awakened. Humanity had awakened something inside itself. War was coming. Not a war of planets. Not a war of fleets. A war of origins. A war to decide who truly owned the galaxy. And for the first time in history, humanity stood on the edge of something greater than fear. Something greater than destiny. A beginning. Rhea stared at the glowing horizon of the Voruan system and whispered, "Then let the galaxy hear our answer." The engines of 900,000 human warships roared to life. Humanity did not run. Humanity advanced. The galaxy did not wake slowly that day. It woke in fear. Every major alien world received the same message within the same hour. It came from patrol stations, long-range scanners, trade routes, and border fleets. The message was short, shaky, and filled with panic. Humanity has launched a massive armada. 500,000 warships, all moving in formation. No one had ever heard a number that large. No empire had ever moved so many ships at once. Not even during the ancient galaxy-wide wars. 500,000 human warships. And all of them were leaving Earth at the same time. Alien worlds stared at the live images in shock. Giant screens showed the human ships rising from Earth like metal mountains lifting into the sky. They exited the atmosphere in endless waves, their engines burning blue and white. From orbit, the human fleet looked like a silver storm. Rows upon rows, lines stretching farther than the eye could see. Warships older than nations, and warships so new their names were still unpainted. Every alien who saw it felt the same cold fear crawl up their spine. Humans were not marching to defend themselves. Humans were not exploring. Humans were not running. They were moving with purpose. Something had pushed Earth to this moment. Across alien space, silence filled war rooms. Commanders froze, diplomats stopped speaking, and intelligence officers stared at their screens with dry mouths. The galaxy had seen human fleets fight before. Everyone remembered how humans responded when threatened. They fought harder than anyone. They never surrendered. And they always came back stronger. But this was different. No human broadcast explained what was happening. No message warned other species. No signal asked for help. The armada moved as one giant machine, silent, organized, unstoppable. In the Vela sector, a group of alien traders watched a human dreadnought pass near their ship. Even though they were far away, their engines trembled from the pressure wave. What could make humans send so many ships? One trader whispered. Another answered with fear in his eyes. Only one thing, something they cannot forgive. Rumors spread fast. Some said humans found an ancient enemy. Some said an alien empire had attacked Earth in secret. Some claimed humanity had created a new weapon so powerful that no one could stand against it. But no one knew the truth. And that made the galaxy more afraid. The human armada did not break formation. Not a single ship drifted. Not a single engine flickered. Their flight pattern was perfect, too perfect for such a large force. It looked like a machine built for war. Alien diplomats rushed to communicate with Earth. No answer. Spy satellites tried to scan the fleet. Their readings failed. Some exploded. Border patrols attempted to track their path. The fleet jammed every system within minutes without saying a single word. Nothing could stop the humans. Nothing could slow them. On the neutral world of Talvos, thousands gathered in public squares to watch the live broadcast. Children clung to their parents, asking if they were going to die. Elders stared at the screen with pale faces. An old alien historian whispered, "I never thought I would see it. The full awakening of humanity. From one end of the universe to the other, every species watched the same thing. A wall of human steel moving like a rising tide. Some wanted to run. Some wanted to hide. Some wanted to pray. Because if humanity was marching, then something terrible had happened. The galaxy expected a war declaration. But humans said nothing. And their silence was more frightening than any threat. At Earth's edge, the last ships joined the fleet. A single massive supercarrier took position at the center. Its hull was black, its engines brighter than stars, its power unmatched. This ship had a name burned into its side: UNS Retribution. When aliens saw the name, they felt something twist inside their stomachs. Retribution meant revenge. So the galaxy asked the same question at the same time. Revenge for what? As the human armada accelerated, the stars around them blurred. Space rippled. Gravity bent. The fleet's engines roared like thunder. Then they vanished into FTL. In that moment, every species felt the same cold dread. Whatever had angered humanity enough to move 500,000 warships was about to face the full wrath of Earth. And no one, not even the strongest empire, wanted to be the one standing in their path. The galaxy tried to pretend everything was normal, but fear spread faster than light. Every communication channel buzzed with the same desperate question: where is the human armada going? Alien intelligence networks scrambled. Empires compared spy reports. Border stations checked scanners every few seconds, but the trail of the fleet was impossible to follow. Normally, a group of ships that large would leave distortions in space, gravity waves, or energy trails. But the humans moved as if they were ghosts, silent, controlled, and hidden behind layers of advanced jamming fields. The Varkan Empire, known for its powerful sensors, tried to scan them first. Their best officers locked onto the final point where the human fleet jumped into FTL. Within seconds, every Varkan sensor overloaded. Screens exploded. Officers fell back from their consoles in shock. One technician gasped, "Their FTL jump. It's not standard. It's something new. Something we've never seen. Can you track them?" The commander demanded. "No, sir. Their path is blocked. It's like their ships erased their own trail." Other alien species tried too. Same result. Humanity had developed a jump signature masking system. No one knew when they built it. No one knew how it worked. But one thing was clear. Wherever 500,000 human ships were going, the galaxy was blind to it. On the diplomatic world of Centaur, alien ambassadors gathered in a panic meeting. The hall was filled with shouting, arguments, and fear. "They must be stopped," one shouted. "This is a threat to every world," yelled another. "We should form a united fleet against them before it's too late." But then the room fell silent when an old, scaled ambassador spoke. "You want to stop them? With what?" he said quietly. "A human armada has more ships than our total fleets combined." No one argued after that. Many hoped the humans were not coming for them. Everyone feared they were. In distant space, on a small transport ship, a group of alien workers watched a replay of the human armada leaving Earth. One of them muttered, "Humans always fight for a reason. They don't move like this unless someone crossed a line." Another worker responded, "But who? Who would be foolish enough to attack them?" No one had an answer. Meanwhile, deep in the outer rim, a forgotten signal station suddenly activated. Two alien technicians inside looked at their screens in disbelief. "Is this real?" the first whispered. It has to be. Look at the timestamp." A data packet had arrived. Old. Damaged. Sent centuries ago. From a human ship. The technicians opened the file. There was a video log. Grainy, dark, and filled with static. A frightened human captain appeared. "This is the colony ship Horizon Dawn. Anyone receiving this, please listen. We were attacked. Unknown species. They boarded us. They. Static. Screaming. Claws hitting metal. The video cut off. The second technician swallowed hard. We need to send this to the Council. Back in the Central Galaxy, the High Council gathered. Leaders from 20 major species sat around a glowing table. They watched the damaged human video in complete silence. When it ended, one counselor whispered, "The lost colony, the one humans searched for centuries, was destroyed." Another finished. And not by nature, but by someone. Everyone in the room knew what this meant. Someone out there had murdered thousands of humans long ago. Someone had tried to erase the evidence. Someone had left no survivors. But humanity had found the truth now. And humanity had never forgotten the missing colony. One counselor stood. Who attacked them? Which species was responsible? No one knew, and that uncertainty terrified the entire chamber. Because if humans were going after the killers of their lost people, they would not stop until justice, or revenge, was delivered. Across the stars, alien governments scrambled to protect their borders. Some cloaked their fleets. Some moved civilians underground. Some prayed their worlds were not the target. But one thing united them all: the fear of human vengeance. As panic spread, a single coded message suddenly echoed across the galaxy, sent from a hidden human relay. 4 words. Cold. Simple. Final. We found them. Moving. Every empire froze. The galaxy finally understood. Humanity wasn't marching without purpose. They were going to war. And 500,000 human warships were about to unleash a storm no one was prepared to face. The hidden message, "We found them," moving, spread through the galaxy like wildfire. Every empire, every station, every commander read the same 4 words and felt the same fear curling inside their chest. Who did humans find? Who were they marching toward? Who had done something so terrible that humanity unleashed 500,000 warships? No one had answers. But the galaxy was about to learn the truth. Far beyond known trade routes, deep inside a dark region called the Veiled Expanse, an ancient species watched the human armada draw closer. Their skin was metallic, their 4 eyes glowing with cold silver light. They stood in tall, narrow halls built of living stone. These were the Xyrith, a species believed dead for thousands of years. But they were alive. Hidden. Patient. And deadly. In their command chamber, a Xyrith warlord watched human fleet movements on a holographic display. His voice was soft, sharp, and filled with arrogance. So the children of Earth finally found the old trail. One of his advisors bowed. We underestimated them. Their tracking systems evolved faster than expected. The warlord's eyes narrowed. And the colony, the one we destroyed long ago. The humans recovered the record, the advisor said. And they know it was us. A thick silence filled the room. The Xyrith had once been the terror of the galaxy. They destroyed worlds for resources. They erased species that refused their rule. But a coalition of younger races fought back and forced them into hiding. They survived. They rebuilt. And they waited. But now, the humans were coming. And they were coming with a force the Xyrith had never expected. Meanwhile, in safer parts of the galaxy, alien citizens gathered in public areas to watch breaking news on every channel. A narrator reported with shaking voice, "Human fleets have entered the Veiled Expanse. Their formation is tightening. All signs indicate they are preparing for battle." Gasps filled the air. On the world of Karul, an old alien general whispered, "If they are fighting inside the Expanse, the enemy must be powerful. Humans don't go into that region lightly." A merchant added, "But 500,000 ships. Who are they fighting? A god." Back at the human fleet, inside the command ship UN's Retribution, Admiral Rhea Lawson studied the tactical map. Her eyes were cold and focused. She had waited her entire career for this day. Behind her, an officer spoke carefully. "Ma'am, are we certain the Xyreth are the ones who destroy the Horizon Dawn?" Lawson didn't turn her head. She simply answered, "We found their weapon signatures on the debris." The marks were identical. The officer stared at the screen in horror. "That means the Xyreth are alive." "They were always alive," Lawson said. "We were just too busy trusting the galaxy to notice." The fleet continued closing in. The closer they came to Xyreth space, the stranger the environment became. Black fog drifted between asteroids. Stars flickered like dying candles. Distress signals from long-lost ships echoed faintly in the void. Many fleets had entered the veiled expanse. Few ever came out. But humanity came anyway. Because humans did not fear dark places. They had created light for that purpose. As the armada cut through the expanse, their scanners detected something large ahead. Massive energy fields, strange metal structures, a wall built across an entire star system. A Xyreth defense ring, the largest ever seen. Alien empires watching from afar felt their hearts drop. If the Xyreth were alive, if they had technology like this, then the galaxy was in danger again. And humanity had been the first to find out. Inside the Xyreth command hall, alarms lit the walls. "Warlord," an advisor shouted, "the humans have arrived." The warlord tilted his head, amused. So many ships, so much courage. He raised his hand. "Prepare the first strike. Let us remind humanity why our name was feared." Across the system, Xyreth cannons charged. Their warships emerged from black clouds like ancient demons. On every alien world, people watched the live feed in horror. The first contact between humans and Xyreth in centuries was seconds away. Admiral Lawson stood tall on her bridge. "Status," she asked. "Enemy weapons charging, Admiral." She nodded once. "Send this message to the entire fleet." The communications officer waited. Lawson spoke calmly, without anger or fear. "For the Horizon Dawn." The message echoed through every human ship, every pilot, every soldier, every captain, a silent promise shared by all. The calm before the storm ended. The battle was coming, and the galaxy held its breath. The moment the human armada reached the Xyreth defensive ring, the stars themselves seemed to hold their breath. 500,000 human warships formed a formation so vast that even the largest alien scanners struggled to capture the full image. The Xyreth forces, hidden for millennia, finally showed themselves, rising from the black fog in silent, predatory waves. For the first time in thousands of years, the galaxy was watching the Xyreth in open combat. But they were also watching something far more terrifying: humanity coming for revenge. The human command ship, UNS Retribution, stood at the center of the formation like a black, silent titan. Inside, Admiral Rhea Lawson observed the tactical screen. Xyreth ships appeared as red dots, thousands of them, and rising. Enemy fleet size increasing, an officer called out. 5,000, 8,000, 10,000. They keep coming. The Xyreth had been hiding an entire armada. But even after 10,000 ships appeared, the humans didn't break formation. They didn't waver. They didn't fear. Admiral Lawson clasped her hands behind her back. "Let them come." On the Xyreth flagship, the warlord leaned closer to his display. His metallic lips curled into a cold smile. "Look at them. Primitive humans. They build many ships but lack understanding of power." One of his generals warned, "Warlord, their fleet is larger than any single force we have ever faced." The warlord chuckled softly. "Quantity means nothing. Our technology is superior. Our weapons cut through worlds. Watch." He raised his hand. Fire. In the darkness of the veiled expanse, thousands of Xyreth cannons ignited. Beams of black energy, pure compressed void, erupted toward the human fleet. They were weapons designed to tear apart planets, shields, and armor with ease. The universe lit up with deadly light. Alien empires watching the broadcast gasped. Even veteran soldiers held their breath. When the beams struck the human front line, it felt like the entire sector shook. And then, something unexpected happened. The beams didn't destroy the humans. They didn't break their shields. They splashed across them like water hitting steel. Inside the Admiral's bridge, officers stared in disbelief. Minor shield disturbance, the tactical officer reported. No damage. Admiral Lawson remained calm. They underestimated Earth technology. Humanity had prepared in silence for a long time. They had built new defenses, new weapons, new armor. And now the galaxy finally saw them. On the HFY flagship, the warlord's confident smile faded. Impossible. Fire again. Another barrage. Hundreds of beams. Thousands of blasts. All useless. The human shields held. Admiral Lawson exhaled slowly. Their weapons are based on void compression. Our new quantum layer shields absorb that energy. Then we're safe, an officer asked. We're ready, she corrected. The Admiral raised her hand and spoke the words that the galaxy would never forget. Fire at will. Human warships opened fire. The first volley wasn't loud. It wasn't chaotic. It wasn't wild. It was precise. Controlled. Perfect. Blue and white beams shot forward like spears of light. Missiles streaked through space in synchronized waves. Railguns punched through the darkness with kinetic force, so massive that shock waves bent nearby asteroids. The HFY front line evaporated. Entire groups of their ships turned into glowing metal dust within seconds. Explosions erupted in slow motion as hulls collapsed and reactors broke apart. Alien worlds watching the battle dropped into stunned silence. No one had realized the truth until now. Humanity had been building not a fleet, but a superpower. The HFY responded with desperation. Their carriers launched swarms of drones. Dark metal machines with razor wings. They darted toward the human ships like a cloud of knives. But the human railguns activated their auto-defenses. Hundreds of turrets rotated in perfect unity. A rain of tungsten fire cut through the swarm. Within seconds, the HFY drones were nothing but shards of smoking metal drifting through space. HFY destroyers surged forward next, releasing gravity torpedoes that could fold small moons. They spiraled toward the nearest human battleships. The human countermeasure systems responded instantly. Energy nets formed in front of the torpedoes. The gravity fields collapsed. The torpedoes imploded harmlessly. The HFY warlord watched with growing fury. They counter every weapon. How? The advisor swallowed. Warlord, humans must have studied our old technology. They found ways to resist it. The warlord slammed his clawed hand onto the console. Then we switched tactics, charged the dark energy siphons. But as he prepared his next move, something new appeared on the battlefield. Human dreadnoughts. Massive, silent, black as night. Their engines pulsed with brilliant blue energy. Admiral Lawson's voice echoed through the fleet. All ships, make room for the Titan class. The dreadnoughts floated forward like ancient gods entering a battlefield. Each one carried firepower equal to an entire HFY armada. The first dreadnought charged its main cannon. A deep hum spread across space. Stars flickered. Gravity trembled. The cannon fired. A beam of pure, condensed energy tore through a HFY battleship. It didn't explode. It didn't break. It simply ceased to exist. Alien empires watching the feed stared in terror at the message this weapon sent. Humanity has exceeded us all. The HFY panicked. Their formation broke. Their ships scattered. Their commanders screamed orders that no one could follow. The battle had lasted minutes, but the outcome had been decided the moment the humans arrived. Inside the U.S. Retribution, The Admiral watched the Tyreth fleet crumble. "Do we pursue the survivors?" her officer asked. Admiral Lawson shook her head. "Not yet. This is only the first line. They're protecting something." She looked at the dark fog deeper inside the system. The real target is still ahead. The first battle was over. But the war had only begun. The darkness behind the Tyreth line. The battlefield grew silent as the last Irith ships broke formation and fled into the black fog. Human sensors watched them go, but Admiral Rhea Lawson gave no order to chase. Not yet. Because deep inside that fog, something else waited. Something far worse. The human fleet slowly moved forward, engines humming in perfect unity. The glow of drifting Styreth wreckage lit the darkness like dying candles. Some human officers spoke softly, trying to understand. Why did the Xyreth fight so hard just to protect empty space? They must be hiding something. What could be big enough to make them risk their whole fleet? Admiral Lawson stood at the center of the bridge, her eyes locked on the dark region ahead. "It's not empty space," she said quietly. It never was. As the humans advanced, the fog seemed to thicken. The area felt unnaturally cold, as if the darkness itself was alive. Sensor readings started to distort, flickering between impossible values. The comms officer frowned. "Admiral, this fog is blocking every scan. Even our quantum radars show nothing." Lawson didn't blink. "Good, that means we're getting close." The watching eyes. Far away, alien empires were watching Earth's fleet through their own long-range systems. Billions of beings gathered in great halls, public squares, and viewing chambers. Some watched with fear, some with hope, and some with dread. When humanity had revealed its 500,000 warships, many aliens believed they were unstoppable. But as the fleet pushed deeper into the fog, even those watching felt uneasy. One alien ambassador whispered, "What did the Xyreth hide that humans cannot detect?" Another replied, "If humans fear nothing, then whatever lies ahead must be truly terrifying." But humanity did not stop. 500,000 ships cut through the darkness like a silent metal wave. The fog begins to move. Then something strange happened. The fog shifted, not with wind, not with gravity, but like a living creature stretching its limbs. A pulse traveled through it, dim and slow, like a heartbeat. The officer monitoring sensors froze. "Admiral, the fog is reacting to our presence." "Explain," Lawson said. "It's changing density, moving around our fleet, like it is watching us." A cold whisper passed through the bridge, but Admiral Lawson didn't hesitate. "Light up the region. Full spectrum scan. Use everything." Activating. Human ships fired scanning waves in every direction. Radio, gamma, neutrino, gravimetric, everything possible. For a moment, the fog glowed. Then, something appeared. A massive shape. A shadow. A structure so large it didn't make sense. Officers gasped loudly. "Admiral, that's not a ship. That's not a station, either. What is that?" The Admiral stared in silence. The projection showed a colossal construct hidden inside the fog. Long, curved, covered in spikes, and larger than some moons. A fortress. A fortress built in total darkness. But it wasn't the size that terrified the officers. It was the fact that it was alive. The structure pulsed slowly, like the breathing of a sleeping beast. And then, its eyes opened. Two enormous red slits glowing deep within the structure. The entire ship trembled as a low, rumbling sound echoed through space. It wasn't sound exactly, more like a pressure wave hitting the mind. Officers held their heads, wincing. Lights flickered. Screens warped. The dreadnought captain shouted, "The structure is emitting a psychic field." The Admiral whispered, "So the stories were true. The thing, the HFY Sci. The Xyrith were ancient, older than most species, but they were not the oldest. There were rumors, legends shared in forgotten archives, stories that the Xyrith were not conquerors, but disciples, servants of something far older, a primordial force. And now humanity was staring at it. The structure's red eyes glowed brighter. Gravity waves rippled outward. Human ships shook in their formations, shields holding at 80%. Compensating for the pressure, it's trying to crush our minds. Admiral Lawson spoke calmly. Keep all ships steady. No one break formation. Officers looked at her like she was insane. Admiral, that thing is waking up. If it fully activates, we won't survive. She lifted a hand. That thing is the reason we came here. We are not turning back. Outside, the primordial fortress began to rise. Metal plates rotated like bones, shifting beneath flesh. Dark energy pulsed through its veins. The fog swirled faster as the structure awakened. It extended long blade-like spires toward the human fleet. The comms officer swallowed. We are receiving a signal. From the fortress, Lawson asked. Yes. He paused, voice shaking. It's speaking. A deep, ancient voice echoed through the ship, through every human mind in the fleet. Turn back, children of Earth. You walk toward your extinction. The bridge fell silent. Even the veteran soldiers felt their blood run cold. But Admiral Lawson slowly leaned forward, her voice steady, fearless. Transmit back. The comms officer nodded. What message, Admiral? She looked at the monstrous fortress awakening before her fleet. Tell it. Her voice hardened like steel. That humanity does not fear the dark. The fortress awakens. The moment the message was sent, the red eyes of the fortress blazed with fury. Dark tendrils of energy erupted outward. The fog twisted into spirals. The ground of space itself seemed to vibrate. The fortress roared, a sound that shook the void. Human shields flared. Weapons powered up. Engines burned brighter. 500,000 ships aimed their cannons. The giant fortress opened its central maw, revealing a swirling black hole of power. The first shot fired. Space exploded with light. The real war had finally begun. The first blast from the primordial fortress hit the fleet like a tidal wave made of shadows. Space itself bent, twisting light into spirals. Human shields flared white, then red, then deep blue as the energy washed over them. Entire ships shook so violently that internal lights flickered and sparks rained from the ceilings. But none of them fell. 500,000 warships held their line. Some alien empires watching the battle could not believe their eyes. The force the fortress released was strong enough to break continents, but humanity stood firm. Inside the flagship, Admiral Rhea Lawson gripped the edge of the command table. Her voice was calm, sharper than the alarms screaming around her. Report. Shields at 63% and stabilizing. Systems recovering. No ships lost, Admiral. She nodded once. Good, now we respond. Human ships unleashed their first wave of fire. Titan cannons cracked like thunder. Particle lances burned through the fog. Rail slugs crossed the void at near light speed. Every beam, every missile, every weapon humanity had created struck the fortress. The fog ripped apart from the force. The hull of the fortress shook. Massive black plates shifted and screeched. But then something terrifying happened. The damage healed. Not slowly. Not naturally. The fortress healed instantly, like time rewound itself around its wounds. Officers stared in horror. Admiral, it regenerated. This isn't technology. This thing is alive. The comms officer suddenly fell to his knees, holding his head. Others did the same. A heavy, crushing psychic pressure filled the bridge. A voice echoed inside every human mind. Children of Earth, You touch the power of the firstborn. Leave now, and your extinction will be gentle. Some officers shook in fear. Others clenched their teeth in anger. Admiral Lawson stood completely still, her eyes locked on the monstrous fortress ahead. Raise psychic dampeners, she ordered. Don't let it into your mind. The devices activated with a deep humming sound, and the pressure loosened. The officers stood again, breathing hard. The fortress pulsed with growing anger. Its massive spires unfolded, pointing toward the human fleet like enormous spears. Then the entire structure moved, not drifting, not floating. It walked. The fortress stepped forward, its lower limbs slamming into the void with shockwaves so strong the human ships were pushed back kilometers. Maintain formation, Lawson shouted. Use thrusters to counter the blast. Engines flared. Ships steadied themselves. The line held. Another step. Another shockwave. The fortress opened its giant central maw again. A swirling storm of black light gathered inside. The weapons officer's voice shook. Admiral, the energy levels are rising. If it fires that blast. I know. Lawson cut in. We won't survive. A silence fell over the bridge. Officers waited. Sweat dripped. Hearts raced. Then Lawson spoke again, softly but with absolute certainty. Prepare the Omega formation. The room froze. Admiral, Omega, that formation is forbidden. Using it will expose the core ships. It was never meant for real combat. It is meant for this, Lawson said. For something that should not exist. Human warships shifted into new patterns. Lines of ships curved outward. Giant carriers moved to the center. Dreadnoughts took the very front. The formation resembled a massive spear aimed directly at the fortress. The alien empires watching felt a chill. Humans were preparing something. The fortress charged its beam. Dark lightning flickered around its mouth. The fog spiraled into the vortex of energy. Then, it fired. A beam of pure annihilation tore across space. It cut through everything. Matter disintegrated on contact. Stars in the far distance dimmed from the shock. But the Omega formation activated. At the front, 10 massive dreadnoughts projected a single combined shield, one so dense that light bent around it. Behind them, hundreds of cruisers poured energy into the barrier. Carriers in the back fed power from their reactors, linking all ships into a single network. The fortress's beam slammed into the barrier. The strike was so powerful that alarms screamed across every ship. Metal groaned. Displays shook. People held on to anything they could. But the barrier held. Barely. Fire curled around the shield like a living storm. Space trembled. Ships cracked. And still the humans stayed in formation. Inside the flagship, the whole bridge shook violently. Panels exploded. People fell. But Lawson didn't move. Hold, she shouted. Do not lose the formation. After 20 long seconds, the beam faded. Silence returned to space. Humanity still stood. The fortress stared at them, its red eyes burning with fury, and perhaps for the first time in its ancient existence, confusion. Then the deep voice returned. You survive. Impossible. Lawson took a deep breath. We're not finished. She raised her hand. Prepare to fire the Starbreaker. Every officer froze. Admiral, that weapon is unstable. It could destroy us too. It was never tested. We will not get another chance, Lawson said. This is the only way to break that monster. Across the fleet, a new energy began to build. Blue sparks danced between ships. Reactors hummed with dangerous power. The air inside every vessel crackled. The Starbreaker was humanity's last resort weapon, meant to be used only if Earth itself was about to fall. Now it would be aimed at a primordial. Lawson stared at the fortress as it drew back, preparing another devastating attack. She whispered under her breath, "You wanted to see what humanity can do. Now you will." The entire fleet lit up. Energy surged. The Starbreaker reached full charge, and the fortress roared in rage. The final battle was seconds away. The energy around the human fleet grew brighter and brighter until the ships looked like stars trying to be born. Blue-white light wrapped around the Omega Formation like a cocoon ready to explode. The primordial fortress sensed the danger. It screamed. A deep, ancient roar tore across the void. So loud and so full of hatred that even distant alien empires watching through their scanners flinched. The fortress' red eyes burned brighter, glowing like two suns of pure malice. Its limbs unfolded, spreading out like the arms of a giant monster ready to crush everything in reach. It began gathering power again. Dark lightning swirled. The fog twisted violently. The entire region of space screamed under the pressure. This time, the fortress meant to erase the human fleet completely. On the flagship bridge, Admiral Rhea Lawson stood in the center, surrounded by sparks, flames, and trembling officers. Half the systems were damaged. The ship walls shook with every pulse coming from the fortress. But Lawson's eyes were steady. "We end this now." Her voice spread through the entire 500,000 ship fleet. Humanity has faced monsters before. Humanity has survived darkness before. This thing is just another shadow trying to frighten us. She paused. "Show it that humans do not bow." Across the fleet, captains repeated her order. "All ships, prepare to fire the Starbreaker." Engineers locked themselves into place. Captains gripped their chairs. Entire crews held their breath. Some whispered small prayers. Some simply closed their eyes. But none ran. None retreated. The fortress unleashed its attack. A massive beam of black fire erupted from its mouth, bigger, heavier, more destructive than anything it had created before. The beam tore forward, ripping reality like paper. Humanity fired at the same moment. The Starbreaker shot outward. Not one beam, not one cannon, but one combined blast formed from the energy of 500,000 ships. Blue and white light twisted together, forming a spear of pure destruction that vibrated the entire void. Both beams met in the center of the battlefield, and the universe lit up. The impact was so bright that alien astronomers in distant galaxies shielded their eyes. A shockwave exploded outward, traveling across star systems. Space bent. Time rippled. The fog evaporated in a single instant. Inside the ships, crew members were thrown to the ground. Panels shattered. Fire ripped through some hallways. But the fleet stayed in position, pushing every last drop of energy into the Starbreaker blast. "Hold the line," Lawson shouted. The fortress roared again, this time sounding desperate. Its limbs cracked. Red veins along its body dimmed. The black plates shattered like glass. The Starbreaker pushed harder, inch by inch. The fortress tried to regenerate. It tried to rebuild itself. It tried to summon more power from the dark dimension behind it. But the Starbreaker was stronger. For the first time since the ancient universe was young, the primordial fortress felt fear. The fortress voice echoed in every mind. "No, you are only child Orion. UCANNOT." The Starbreaker pierced its core. The fortress' massive body convulsed, splitting into fragments. A final terrible scream shook the void, full of rage, shock, and disbelief. Then, silence. The fortress exploded. A supernova-like burst expanded outward, throwing pieces of the ancient structure in every direction. The blast was so enormous that human ships were forced backward thousands of kilometers. But the barrier held. The formation held. Humanity held. When the light faded, only drifting debris remained. The primordial was gone. A single voice echoed on the bridge of the flagship. "Admiral, target destroyed." There was no cheering, no shouting, No celebration. Only quiet. Exhausted, heavy, emotional quiet. The crew stared at the empty darkness before them, realizing what they had just survived, what they had just defeated. "We did it," someone whispered. Admiral Lawson sat down slowly, breathing deeply. For the first time, her hands trembled, not in fear, but in relief. "Send message to all ships," she said. "Stand down from battle mode. Begin rescue and repair operations." Officers moved quickly, some with tears in their eyes. Across the galaxy, alien empires watched in silence. Some bowed their heads. Some fell to their knees. Some replayed the moment over and over, unable to believe it. Humanity had destroyed a primordial. No species had ever done that. No species had even dared. But humans had faced the oldest shadow in existence, and won. And so, across every world, every station, every corner of the galaxy, one truth spread like wildfire. Never stand against humanity. Never push humanity into a corner. Never forget what humans are capable of. When the universe needs hope. For when the darkness rises, humans rise higher.